Governor, my name is Representative D. I have the opportunity to participate today, and I appreciate that. As we as legislative leaders, as well as the governor, need to look to the next generation rather than the next election. I think this is a move in that direction. I think sometimes in government we tend to deal with symptoms rather than the real root problems of situations in our state. Illegal immigration and the rhetoric that goes on with illegal immigration is a symptom. The real problem, I believe, is, as we've talked about today, immigration reform, illegal and legal, making sure that we look at the entire spectrum of what we need to be doing. Had the opportunity in 2009 to 2010 to serve as the House co-chair of the Immigration Task Force. We took hours and hours and hours of testimony from across the state of Utah. One thing I learned is that my eyes were opened. 80% or most of those people that testified were right. Every one of those people with differing viewpoints had examples of what they felt was wrong with immigration in the state of Utah. And we can do that selectively. But as what we need to do as legislators and leaders is have a more panoramic view of the problem, understanding there are many situations that we're not aware of and many concerns that we may not be well versed in. A great president once said, "United we stand, divided we fall." President Lincoln said that. And it's important that we understand that this is the defining moment in the state of Utah. We need to unite together in a solution for immigration. Thank you.
John Dougal, House District 27. Thank you, Governor. I don't believe that you can address illegal immigration without addressing legal immigration. And too often the solutions that come from the state level only focus on illegal immigration. I think as states we need to push back against the feds and give them the framework of what should be appropriate legal immigration. Right now, the federal government is derelict in securing the border. I think the federal government doesn't act. I think it's imperative on the states to act to secure that border. The appropriate place to enforce immigration law is at ports of entry, at the border, airports, seaports. It is not effectively deputizing everybody in society to question everybody on their status throughout employment, purchasing a home, and so forth. I also believe that as citizens we have a natural right to freely associate with anyone who does not pose a public safety threat to anyone else. That's not just citizens, that's with any individual in the world. And when the government, federal government, limits my ability to freely associate with folks that don't live in this country, I think the federal government has overstepped its bounds.
Governor, thank you very much for this opportunity to be a part of this discussion. My name is Brent Gardner. I'm the Executive Director of the Utah Association of Counties, representing all 29 county governments. This issue is an issue that touches county government through its services in numerous areas: criminal prosecution, criminal defense, health services, substance abuse treatment services, mental health services. So we are keenly interested in what might be coming forth from the legislature and also from the federal government in ways of solving this problem. The biggest area of impact is in our law enforcement area. County governments provide jails for almost all of the counties in the state. And unfortunately, I think that's our biggest concern. Without some kind of federal action, any action that might be taken by the state poses some problems. And our concern is what might come down to the counties in the form of mandates without the federal government taking some action to be willing to take whatever illegal arrests might be made and committed to the jails. It's not going to be very effective. Right now, federal law enforcement will not take those people out of the county jails, and therefore all we can do is release them or release others. And so again, we're going to need some federal action in order to really address this issue at the county level. Thank
you. Thank you, John Greiner. I guess I'm representing the police department of Ogden City today instead of the few months I have remaining as a senator. But let me say at the onset that I think that what gets lost in the equation here, at least in my community, is the naturalized citizen, the person who's come to this country and done things in the proper way. I disagree, I suppose, with the notion that this is a civil issue. the white paper that the major chiefs put together put two salient points. The first point to their 9-point thing was secure the borders and put in place laws that, quite frankly, would deal with the employer who deals improperly with that labor pool. But since that piece was written in 2006, in 2007, the IACP, which 3 members of this panel are members of, put its own white paper out. It's a member organization of 20,000 people of 115 years of experience, and it's really important to put that paragraph in context, and I've given the governor a copy of the same book that I gave the senators in SB 81, and that is, it is the IACP's belief that the question of state, tribal, and local law enforcement participation in immigration enforcement is an inherently local decision that must be made by a police chief working with his or her elected officials, community leaders, and citizens. I firmly believe that this is the right way to get this started, but it is not a civil issue. Thank you.
I'm passing. Next section.
I do. Michael, check the button on top.
The green light's on.
There, okay. My name is Michael Wattups. I'm the President of the Senate. Our nation was created as a nation of immigrants. From Christopher Columbus, an Italian, to the Pilgrims at Plymouth Rock, who were British, to representatives of almost every country in the world today. Our country, however, was organized because of an oppressive government, a government that did not recognize representation from the people here. And as a result, we had the Boston Tea Party. We had the shot heard round the world. We had wars of Concord and Lexington. And we created a nation of laws. We have a constitution, and we believe in the rule of law. In our Constitution, Article 1, Section 8, Congress is given power to establish a uniform rule of naturalization. In Section 9, it talks about them regulating migration and importation of persons. So we have a government that has a responsibility, and our federal government has let us down. They need to do something. They need to do more. 4 years ago, they worked on it and said if they couldn't come to a resolution 4 years ago, it may be a decade or more before they were able to. They failed 4 years ago, and as a result, based on their comments, it may be another decade before we see anything. Thus, the state must do something. All of the states are trying. We're trying to put together something. This is not a race issue. We're dealing with people that are illegal from Pakistan, Somalia, various countries around the world. Perhaps there's a grid we can look at. In the very beginning, Adam and Eve broke a law. They were cast from the garden. But God created a plan that allowed them to repent and return to His presence. Maybe we could look at that plan.
My name is Terry Keefe. I'm police chief for the city of Layton and currently serving as president of the Utah Chiefs of Police Association. Governor Herbert, thank you for this opportunity to participate today. As the governor stated earlier, as a state, we must focus on the concepts and principles surrounding illegal immigration and immigration reform. Our country is based upon the rule of law. The Chiefs Association agrees with the governor's statements, and as individual peace officers in the state of Utah, each of us swore an oath to enforce the laws passed by our state legislature and respective municipal or county governments, whether we agree with them or not, in a fair and impartial manner. Safeguards are currently in place at both the state and federal level if law enforcement officers fail to do so. I agree with Senator Greiner that illegal entry into this country is a federal misdemeanor, not a civil issue. Staying beyond one's visa or permit to be in this country is the civil issue. Crossing the border illegally at an unchecked area is a criminal misdemeanor offense. The Chiefs Association looks forward to working with everybody in our community to come up with a fair and equitable solution to the unique problems facing the state of Utah as we discuss immigration reform and the final laws that will be passed by our legislature. Thank you, Governor.